Shalom, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahawashi. Yahweh being the name of the Heavenly Father, who the world calls God. Yahawashi being the name of his beloved Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus. Right, this is the brother Yair Radah out of the WFI Indiana camp, coming at y'all with a quick cold cut through the spirit on don't faint, but endure hardness, man. Right? Do not faint, but endure hardness all the way into the end. Got to make sure you finish your course. When you in this life, just because you come into the truth, that doesn't mean that just everything is going to go smoothly. Everything is going to be how you want it to be. Things are going to go according to plan, so on and so forth. It don't work like that, man. When you come into this truth, hey, it's liable to be harder, than it was when you was in the world. Because see, when you was in the world, you gave in to all those demons. You wasn't fighting those demons in the world. The demons that you fighting now. And when I say you wasn't fighting those demons, I mean not that you weren't dealing with them, but you gave in to them. You didn't put up much of a fight when you was in the world. That smoking demon, you didn't fight that day. You invited it in. Every time it came in your mind, guess what? You invited it in. You had the red carpet laid out for that lust demon, man. All these things, hey, it was a red carpet. They had a buffet inside the tabernacle, all these different things. So when you come into this truth, hey, you aware of all these different things, and you trying to purge them out, right? You trying to purge them out. You going to war every day. You wake up in the morning, you going to war, right? Whether that be spiritual warfare, which is all spiritual warfare at the end of the day, but on the lower level, whether that be spiritual warfare, whether that be and spiritual warfare within yourself, or whether that be, job-related things, your family, friends, things in your household, whatever the case may be, you got to endure it into the end. That's a part of being tried through the fire. We have to be. If we're not tried through the fire, if we're not in the furnace of affliction, if we don't ever go through any of those things, then how does the Lord know that we for him at the end of the day? The Lord has to prove us one way or the other. And we all got to go through that furnace of affliction. So you got to endure that furnace of affliction if you want to receive, right, that crown from the Lord. Right? And let me get this quick precept real quick. Right? We bring this out frequently. Right? Let me, real quick, book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7. And I ought to get right to the point. Right? This book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7. I'm not going to read this whole account. Right, I'm going to start at verse, man, I might go ahead and read it. Right, this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 6. It says, there is also another thing. A city is builded and set upon a broad field and is full of all good things. It says, the entrance thereof is narrow and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand and on the left a deep water. So you got fire is affliction, trials, and tribulations on one side. You got water is trials, tribulations, afflictions on another side, right? And a narrow path. It says, verse 8, and the one only path between them both, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could but one man go through it once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? So if you never go through those trials and tribulations, you never go through the fire, you never go through the furnace of affliction, you never go through being tried as gold is tried as silver is tried, you never go through those different things, how will you ever receive the things that the Lord promised us? How will you ever get to that other side where the city is built? AKA the kingdom of heaven. How will you ever get there if you never go through it? Right? Some people, they go through, and they faint in the middle. Some people faint at the last end. Some people faint as soon as they step on that narrow path. And they walk up to it, they take a couple steps, they see the fire on the right hand side, they see the deep waters on the other side, and they say, you know what? Yeah, this ain't for me. And they go back into the world, man. they go back into the world, right? They call it in the world of sports, when you want to do something hard or not, whatever the case may be, they call it making it a business decision, right? But in unrighteousness, to where they step to the plate and then they see the dangers before them and they say, you know what? Nah, I'm not going to do that. I'm not willing to sweat, to be hot, to be cold. All for the Lord, man. I'm not willing to come out bruised up. I'm not willing to come out tired, almost faint, but don't. I'm not willing to go through those trials and tribulations, blood, sweat, and tears. I'm not ready to go through those things. I'm not ready to go through mental downs, or whatever the case may be. A lot of people, they not up for that. But you gotta be willing to go through all those different things for Yahawashi at the end of the day. The same way how he told us, hey, we gotta carry our cross, that's how we gotta do. The same way he did, that's what we gotta do, right? Real quick, bear with me. All right, let me get this precept. All right, this is the book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse 38. It says, and he that taketh not his cross. That doesn't mean you literally got a damn cross around your neck, or you got a cross on your billfold or in your back pocket. It's not talking about a literal cross. What is that cross that the Lord is referring to as? Those trials, tribulations, burdens, affliction, all these things. He's saying what? It says, and he that taketh not his cross and followeth after me is not worthy of me. So if you're not willing to follow after Yahawashi in these last days with your cross, meaning what? Those trials, tribulations, enduring hardness, right? Family turning against you, friends turning against you, people calling you a terrorist, or people saying you're a part of a cult, so on and so forth. Whatever comes with it, you're not ready to endure that. And if you don't endure it, then the Lord said, hey, you're not worthy of him at the end of the day. You got to follow hard after the Lord, man, right? Let me get one of my favorite precepts. It's the book of Psalms. Salakia. Bear with me. All right. It's the book of Psalms, chapter 62, or Salakia, chapter 63, and verse 8. It says, my soul followeth hard after thee. So you gotta make sure you following hard after Yahawashi, not just I'm following them. Now you gotta follow hard after Yahawashi, man. You have to sprint. You gotta cleave unto the Lord, man. All right. It says, my soul followeth hard after thee, thy right hand upholdeth thee. Right. So if you follow hard after Yahawashi, hey, his right hand, which is his strength, is going to uphold you. All right, so let's go back to the book of 2nd Esdras, and let's finish that in 2nd Esdras chapter 7 and verse 9. It says, if this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive this inheritance? It says, and I said, it is so, Lord. Then he said unto me, even so also is Israel's portion. So it said, even so, hey, is Israel's portion. Meaning what? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, guess what? Hey, we got to go through it in this thing. Why? Because that's how the Lord set it up. It is what it is. You got to endure hardness in these last days, man. All right, let me get this in the book of 2 Timothy. All right, this is the book of 2 Timothy. It's the book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 3. It says, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahawashi HaMashiach. It said, thou therefore endure. So you have to endure in this thing. You have to persevere. All right, I like those words. Endure and persevere. You got to persevere and endure in these last days. Not just have it hit you and take it on. And nah, you have to press through. You have to persevere. You have to go through the hardness, trials, tribulations, right? Family woes, family turning on you, friends turning on you, people calling you weird. People at your job might look at you strange. Whatever the case may be, and you got to persevere through it all. What? Through that narrow path until you get into where the city's at, man. Ultimately meaning you finish your course and receive the things, Lord willing, right? Lord willing, you receive the things that the Lord promised unto us. All right. I'm gonna read that again. All right, 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 3, it says, "Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahawashi Mashiach." It says, "No man that warreth entangling himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who hath chosen him to be a soldier." And if you in this truth, guess what? You've been chosen. Right? You've been chosen. The Lord's not going to wake up everybody in the earth. It don't work like that. Right? 2/3 of our people got to die. They got to perish. Now, not all 2/3 of those people are going to be not know about the truth or not be in the truth. You're going to have some of those 2/3, right, that are in the truth, so to speak, or know about the truth, or calling themselves an Israelite from the tribe of Judah, Israelite from the tribe of Ephraim, whatever the case it is, trying to keep the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability. All right, but hey, you got to endure hardness. Why? Because the Lord chose you to do it. The Lord, like I said, like I was going to say, if you are in this truth, then the Lord chose you to be a soldier, man, for Him. All right, whether you be a man, whether you be a sister, whatever the case may be, you a soldier for Yahawashi Yahawashi if you're in this truth. So you got to endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahawashi Yahawashi. All right, let's go to the book of. Let's go back to the Apocrypha real quick. Actually, before I get that, right, let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Because you got to endure hardness. You got to. Salakia, bear with me. You got to endure hardness. Just like our righteous forefathers and foremothers. Actually, before I get that, Salakia, I got a lot of precepts in my mind. Right, before I get that, right, let me go to this. Right, this is the book of Romans, chapter 15 and verse 3. Right, start at verse 4. It says, "For whatsoever things are written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." And I love that scripture because you got to understand the things that's written in this book is not just for you to be able to say, "Oh, you know what that's going into. Oh, I've read that." No, yeah, it's for you to, it's a blueprint. It's not only just a blueprint, but it's for you to be able to read and find comfort in the situations that you go through in life. Whether that be you dealing with death, whether that you dealing with wicked family, trying to get your household in order, friends, how to go about all these different things are in the scriptures. So these things are here for you to be able to go to, right, and learn from our righteous forefathers and righteous foremothers. You can even learn from the wicked forefathers and wicked foremothers and learn what not to do. Right, and then the righteous ones learn what to do and how they went about this particular situation in righteousness. You understand? So I'm gonna read that one more time. It's the book of Romans chapter 4 and Romans chapter 15 and verse 4 says, "For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope." So with that, let's go to the book of Ezekiel chapter 24. Right, it's the book of Ezekiel chapter 24, because Ezekiel had to endure hardness. Ezekiel's life just wasn't, he was a mighty prophet. He was a righteous man. But just because he was a mighty prophet and a righteous man doesn't mean that his life was easy, or he never had to worry about anything, or he never went through nothing. All right, these righteous men of the Lord that still had to go through trials, tribulations, slavery, captivity, all these different things, man. All right, real quick, before we get that, let's start at Ezekiel chapter 1, right, verse 1. Right, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1. It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 1, and it reads, Now it came to pass in the 13th year of the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chabar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. Now, the point is that I wanted this is, guess what? Hey, he was in captivity. He got taken away into captivity. He wasn't just living good in his homeland by himself and all this other different stuff. No, he got taken into captivity as well, along with many other of our forefathers and foremothers. All right, but Ezekiel was in captivity. Right? Now, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 24 and verse 16. It says, Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke. Yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall thy tears run down. So the Lord is telling Ezekiel, I'm going to take something away from you. I'm going to take your desire, your love away from you. Something that you love a lot, something that you adore, something that you sincerely care about. I'm going to take that away from you. Imagine that. Imagine the Lord telling you what he's getting ready to take away from you. A lot of Jake and Eve will probably stop following the Lord. A lot of y'all, I don't know, but a lot of people will probably stop following Yahawashi, man. If the Lord told you straight up he was going to take something from you. Jake and Eve in the world, even now, they question the Most High God, even when a death may occur or something like that. You hear it all the time in the world. People stop believing in God simply based off a death that occurred in their life. They cousin, Day, or Real, died. God, why you had to take my cousin Real from me, man? Then you run across the brother, and you talk, and then they say, no, I don't believe in God. If God was real, why would he take my cousin Real away from me? Right? At the end of the day, as messed up as it may sound, all the ways of the Lord are righteous at the end of the day. And like it tell you in the scriptures as well, roughly paraphrasing, whoever perished being innocent. Nobody. Right? So the thing is, right, the Lord is getting ready to take away Ezekiel's desire of his heart, desire of his eyes. Right? Now let's read verse 17. It says, Forbear to cry, make no mourning for the dead. Bind thy tire of thine head upon thee, and put on thy shoes upon thy feet, and cover not thy lips, and eat not the bread of men. So I spake unto the people in the morning, and at evening my wife died. So the Lord took away Ezekiel's wife from him, man. And no, the Lord, and it's not, and the Lord didn't take away his wife and give him to another. The Lord didn't take away his wife and then she just left him. No, the Lord, she died, man. The Lord killed Ezekiel's wife. Straight up. The Lord snatched Ezekiel's wife away from him, right? But the point is, right, reading on, it says, and my wife died, and I did in the morning as I was commanded. You see that? So, Ezekiel couldn't do nothing about that. Ezekiel, he had to endure that hardness. It's not a light thing for your significant other to pass away, or for your brother to pass away, or your sister, or your child, or whatever the case may be. Right? Death is just not a small thing. Right? But Ezekiel had to endure that and still do what the Lord commanded him to do, which is go prophesy to Israel. And he did it. He didn't complain. He didn't whatever. He didn't lose his mind. He did as he was commanded and trusted in the Lord, man, at the end of the day. He put his faith and his trust in Yahawashi. And most importantly, he endured hardness as a good soldier. All right, let's go to the book of, I want to go to the book of 2 Samuel. I want to go to the book of 2 Samuel. All right, bear with me. All right, 2 Samuel chapter 12. And real quick, before we get that, right, let's get the book of 2 Esdras. 2 Esdras chapter 7 and verse 57. Right, this is the book of 2 Esdras chapter 7 and verse 57. And it reads, Then answered he me and said, This is the condition of the battle which man that is born upon the earth shall fight. Meaning what? Meaning trials, tribulations, the path, right, unto the promises and the glory and the covenant, that path being narrow. This is the condition of the battle that's set and placed upon the earth for men, right? For the Israelites. It says that if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. Meaning if you don't finish the race, if you don't endure hardness as a good soldier, Yahawashi, if you faint, if you wax weak, instead of waxing stronger and stronger in these last days, right? That if he be overcome, he shall suffer as thou hast said. But if he get the victory, he shall receive the thing that I say. You see that? So you gotta be able to strengthen yourself through Yahawashi for you to be able to get the victory in these last days. All right, and realize and understand that the things that we go through, we gotta go through them. We gotta endure it. We gotta persevere through it in these last days, whether that be financial struggles, household struggles, friends, family turning against you, right? Problems at work, problems with things, spiritual problems with things. So every day you wake up, you gotta fight a war. That's not gonna go nowhere. That war is never gonna end until Yahawashi come back. But until then, every single day you wake up, it's going to be war. It's going to be spiritual warfare. And you got to endure it. You can't run from it. You can't faint. You can't. There's no other way. There's no alternative when it comes to a different route. There's no other route. You can't go above. You can't go under. You can't go side to side. Hey, you got to go through it. You got to endure it in these last days. All right. So this is the book of 2 Samuel. Chapter 12, and I'm going to start at verse 11. All right, this is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 12, and verse 11. It says, Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes and give them unto thy neighbor. And he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of the sun, right? Which ended up happening, right? It says, verse 12, For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. Here's the point. It says, And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, The Lord also hath put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. So the Lord, right through the hands of the prophet, told David that he was gonna lose his child. The child that David had born through adultery, the Lord was gonna kill. Right? Now let's see what David did about it. Right? Verse 15, it says, And Nathan departed out of unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. David therefore besought Yahweh for the child. And David fasted and went in and lay all night upon the earth. So David didn't question the Lord. David didn't curse the Lord. David didn't, what did he do? Hey, he prayed, man. He fasted, right? He prayed, he fasted, repented. He did all these different things until Yahawashi was shot, right? But even with David doing all that, let's keep reading. It says, verse 17, and the elders of his house arose and went to him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died. So even with David doing all the praying, the fasting, making supplications to the Lord, hey, guess what? Hey, the Lord still killed the child, man. Right? The Lord still killed the child, even though David was praying, most likely asking the Lord not to. Probably asking the Lord to have mercy upon him and to not kill the child. But guess what? The Lord still did it. And guess what? David had to endure that hardness. Right? Let's keep reading. It says, and it kept, verse 18, and it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died. And the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? But when David saw his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, is the child dead? And they said, he is dead. Then David rose up from the earth and washed and anointed himself and changed his apparel and came into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. So David endured hardness. Yeah, he prayed unto the Lord. Yes, sometimes you may pray unto the Lord that the Lord take this away or do this or do that, or Lord make a way for this. And like we say, you know, a lot of times, sometimes when the Lord, when you, or it seems like you don't receive an answer from the Lord, that's your answer right there. When you pray unto the Lord and it seems like you don't get an answer, that's your answer. Meaning what? You got to endure it. Right? I hate to put it like that, but you got to deal with it. You have to endure it and persevere and realize that this is the battle that's placed upon the earth for man. All right? Just the same way Ezekiel had to endure hardness when his wife died, same way David had to endure hardness when his child died. Even though David prayed unto the Lord and fasted unto the Lord for mercy and that the child wouldn't die, the Lord still did it. But David didn't curse the Lord. David didn't question the Lord. What did he do? Hey, he praised him. He gave the Most High God praise. You understand? And we understand that, you know, our forefather, a lot of our forefathers was mighty through the Spirit, but we got to inspire to move like how our forefathers moved. We got to inspire to take these accounts and try to apply them to our lives as best as possible. And it's not just about, you know, dealing with death, but dealing with hardness, period. And seeing how our forefathers dealt with it in righteousness and how they endured it, right? Let me get this precept in the book of Jeremiah. Right, this is the book of Jeremiah, so like it. Chapter 10. It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10, in verse 19. It says, woe is me for my hurt, right? My wound is grievous, but I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it. Sometimes you got to bear that grief. Sometimes you got to bear that pain. Sometimes you got to bear that woe. You got to bear, sometimes you got to bear these different things. You got to bear your family turning their back on you. You got to bear your friends looking at you funny and not being with you no more. You got to bear, you may be financially in a struggle. But most importantly, above all those different things, you have to continue to follow hard after Yahawashi. and not lose faith in them, but just realize that these are the things while we're upon the face of the earth that's given unto us for us to be able to bear, go through, endure, and persevere through, us being tried through the fire. Being tried through the fire is not always them talking about you at the guillotine and about to get your head cut off. That is a part of it. But trials and tribulations, it comes in a multitude of different ways and a multitude of different things. You know, you going through trials and tribulations right now. You know, and if you're not, you know, you kind of gotta, you know, I don't know, you kind of gotta check yourself. You know, if everything in your life is just perfect and you never going through nothing, I don't know, like we say sometimes you might be an Edomite. It's not saying that the Lord can't bless you with things, but you know, we as Israelites, hey, we gotta, there's that path is narrow for us. So we gonna go through trials and tribulations with the fire on one side of affliction and the deep water on another side of trials and tribulations, right? Furnace of affliction, so on and so forth, right? So I'm gonna read that one more time. This is the book of Jeremiah, chapter 10 and 19. It says, "Woe is me, for my hurt, my wound is grievous. But I said, truly, this is a grief, and I must bear it." Right? So we gotta bear these different things, right? Let's get one more account. One of my favorite affliction accounts, right? Going into Yahawashi, right? This is the book of Luke, chapter 22, and we'll start at verse, we'll kind of get right to the point, right? It's the book of Luke, chapter 22, and verse 42, right? Yahawashi is praying right now unto the Most High God. It says, saying, Father, if thou wilt, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. So even Yahawashi was going through it. Even Yahawashi had to go through the trials and tribulations. That's why earlier we said, what we read in the book of Matthew, chapter 10 and 38. He said, hey, you gotta take up your cross, as I've taken mine, roughly paraphrasing. Right? That he had to take up his trials and tribulations. You think that we're not gonna have to do the same? You think that we're not gonna have to go through, right? Even on a small scale, what Yahawashi went through, if not close to, right, or the same, whatever the case may be. All right, it says, let me read that one more time. It says, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. Now, did the Lord move Yahawashi's cup away from him? No. Right? And Yahawashi knew that it wouldn't be done. Right? But him being in these fleshly bodies that we in, even to this day, he still was human. All right? He still was me. He still had thoughts. He like, dang, man, I'm really getting ready to, tomorrow I'm really getting ready to, I'm geared to soon, die for these people, be crucified for these people, be that sacrificial lamb, right? He knew exactly how it was going to happen, when it was going to happen, all these different things. Jake, you stressed out because you can't pay your rent on time, or you stressed out because, damn, your wife didn't cook your waffle how you wanted it. Hey, Yahawashi, hey, he knew his exact time of death, and he knew how it was going to happen. He knew everything leading up to it, everything. You think that wasn't on his mind constantly? Right? It says, reading on, and there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, strengthening him. So in this, you got to understand, all the time the Lord is not going to give you what you desire, but give you what you want. Sometimes